Hello, I'm John Cellini, and I'm going to go over Concept 2.4, Causes of Workplace Conflict, and 5 productive steps for resolving conflict. As I said, we'll go over the causes for conflict in the workplace, levels of conflict, 5 steps for resolution, and then I'll summarize at the end. According to the text, conflict can arise in a workplace for a variety of reasons. Some are structural, some are situational, and some are interpersonal. We've all dealt with all of these at some point in our life, but we'll go into a little bit more detail to explain these. Structural conflict is constant within the business. These are things such as competition for promotion or use of the very limited resources that we have in today's environments in the workplace. We've all dealt with these, I'm sure, at some point in our work or our careers. Situational conflict, however, is temporary. These are disagreements over projects or programs, changes in the workplace, workload or life balances, and/or changes at home. And then finally, there are interpersonal conflicts. These are caused by personal choices or behaviors, or personality differences, or a combination of any of the above. Examples of these are lack of communication, personality issues, and/or cultural disparities. On the chart below, you can see that there are various levels of conflict. These start at the very lowest form, which is a language level, which is where people are using different terms to discuss the same concepts, and they go all the way up to the highest level of conflict, which is values. This is where you have a fundamental issue about what is right or wrong, whether it's ethical or unethical, and they can become aggressive when you're dealing with this type of conflict. It's very important to determine the level of conflict to determine what you do to resolve it, if anything. The 5 steps for resolving workplace conflict are below. You should, 1, decide if the conflict's worth resolving. Examine your own beliefs and behaviors. Identify where the conflict originates. Establish a common ground. And choose a strategy for resolving the differences if you do decide to resolve it. We'll go into a little bit more detail on each of these in the next coming slides. Number 1, as I said, you need to decide, is it worth resolving? Resolving conflict takes time, resources, and energy, and it can be expensive, and it takes you away from the task at hand in your workplace. Number 2, you need to examine your own beliefs and behaviors. Is there something about yourself that you could change in your behavior that would resolve the conflict? Or are your emotions taking over? If they are, that can cause a serious conflict. A lot of times conflict is caused due to emotions, and the emotions take over. Number 3, you should identify where the conflict started. What is the true source of the conflict? Yeah, it helps make it easier to resolve. Number 4, establish a common ground. Find a point where everybody agreed on something and work from that point until you have resolution. Number 5, if you decide to resolve it, you should determine a strategy for resolving the conflict. First, you could avoid the conflict. Second, you could accommodate the other person. You could compromise, or you could collaborate between the two of you or all parties that are involved. Any of these are effective in resolving conflict, but you need to determine what is the best course of action for yourself. Oftentimes, collaboration is one good way to resolve conflict, as we all know. In summary, conflict in the workplace can be structural, situational, or interpersonal. You should determine the level of conflict to determine the strategy for resolution. Effective strategies can be avoidance, accommodation, compromise, or collaboration, or a combination of all of the above. Works cited are listed here for the different areas within this presentation. If you have any questions, feel free to post them on the forum. I'll be glad to try to answer them. Thank you for your time today.